Here's what's coming up on episode 161. Dr. Michael Terzi. What is an angel? What do they look like? Do they have wings?
And so that's what I kind of attribute to maybe people back in the day in biblical times or other times that have seen angels before. Maybe that's where they got the halo from. Whether you're any kind of faith, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever anything is, you have angels regardless, and they're there. And so I try to help people understand that it's definitely not a religious thing. If it's a spirit, you say, I feel you. I've been this angry before. I can't relate to everything you've gone through because that's your story, but I felt this before as you have. And I feel for you. Let me help.
Welcome to the Big Seance Podcast. I'm Patrick Keller of BigSeance.com, and this is a place for an open discussion on all things paranormal, but specifically topics like ghosts and hauntings, paranormal research, spirit communication, psychics and mediums, and life after death. So basically, anything that pops up in my paranormal world. The candles are already lit, so you might as well come on in and join the seance.
These are crazy times, y'all. Wherever you find yourself listening to this, I hope you're safe, healthy, and maybe most of all, calm. I can't lie though, there have certainly been moments when I haven't been calm. And part of that is me needing to turn the TV off, frankly. Like most teachers and students, and probably you, we're at home, just waiting it out and going through an experience that none of us have seen in our lifetimes. As an introvert and future recluse, I'm doing fine. But I know some of you are really struggling. Like our friend Leslie from the Living Dead Girls podcast. She's struggling a bit, y'all. Keep her entertained if you can. Speaking of keeping yourself entertained, if you haven't joined us in the Big Seance Parlor on Facebook, you should consider it. I'll be doing some extra live streams there from time to time for those of you who may be turning to your online communities for support and conversation. But if you're listening to this message from the future, I look forward to hearing that things have calmed down, that we survived and the craziness ran its course, and that life after the coronavirus is back to normal, whatever that is. But stay well, everybody. Today, I'm drinking Calming the Storm tea from Nuwati Herbals. This is a great tea for someone who might have stomach problems or intestinal issues. It contains herbs that help to quench the burning in the belly like rain on a wildfire. This blend aids in calming the wind and quieting the rumbling thunder to promote healthy digestion. I drink Nuwati teas hot, but the folks at Nuwati say that this blend is also terrific as iced tea. It contains ingredients like ginger, alfalfa, cat's claw, fennel, chamomile, and peppermint. And stay tuned, because a little later in the show, I'll share more about Nuwati Herbals and how you can get 15% off your order at nuwatiherbals.com. Now, let's get to my great discussion with Dr. Michael Terzi on the subject of angels. Dr. Michael Terzi is an angel medium, Reiki master, spiritual teacher, and an optometrist. What started as a visitation from spirit as a child developed into prophetic abilities as a teenager, and later into empathic insights. He quickly learned that we are not alone in the universe, and instead that we are surrounded by a host of angelic beings as he awakened to this awareness during medical school. Dr. Michael has always maintained his passion for combining science and spirituality. However, after Dr. Michael awakened to his mediumship abilities, he discovered we all have guardian angels that are ever present and love us unconditionally. Per the request of his own guardian angel to live up to his life mission, he began providing guardian angel readings to others. Dr. Michael has an amazing ability to deliver the angels' messages with empathy and compassion while bringing insight, clarity, and comfort to his clients. He also has an affinity and natural ability to transmute negative energy to positive energy, something I want to ask him about, which he utilizes within his angel Reiki healings and home clearings and blessings during investigations he does with the group he co-founded with his wife, R.I.S.E Paranormal. He teaches that the angels are able to provide guidance, a sense of empowerment and healing to everyone who asks. And you can find Dr. Michael at angelwhisperermichael.com or riseparanormal.com. Welcome to the parlor, Dr. Michael.
Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it. This is going to be great.
First question right out of the gate. In 2020, what is an angel? You know, what do they look like? Do they have wings?
Oh, yeah. So as I talk to people, whenever I do readings or anything really, when we go for clearings and things, people often ask me. Angels, I try to clarify that because there are angels and then there are spirit guides. So angels are angelic souls. So were created as angels, have always been angels, and they do a lot of different things around the world and for different people. They have different responsibilities sometimes. And so actually most of those are guardian angels. And so they're always around us, trying to guide us and help us. Spirit guides, I clarify with people, are human souls. So they can be part of a team. Like I've spoken about before, I see a team behind people. So there isn't just that one angel behind us and then that's it. We actually have anywhere from 3 to 4 sometimes guardian angels that are around us trying to help us with different responsibilities to kind of help us through different hurdles we have to get over. And then there is a spirit guide sometimes. So somebody that will actually come back from, if people believe in past lives, then I do tell them that, yeah, we have had past lives. And sometimes a spirit guide can come from a past life, or it can be what I kind of call a late addition to the team, which is, if you're in this life, you have a father, a brother, a best friend that passed away. And then when they go into spirit world, heaven, whatever people would like to call it, they decide, you know what, instead of coming back and having another life, I want to join their team. So you have a combination of angels and spirit guides. And so angels have always been angels. So I try to clarify that because some people ask, you know, is my mother an angel? And for all intents and purposes, I say, yeah, you could compare her to that because she's up there. She's on a very high vibration as angels are. She's doing work. She's helping people, sometimes even helping you as a spirit guide. So I don't like to knock people's idea of what happens to their loved ones when they pass on. You know, they are angelic, you know, but then angels have been and have always been angels. What do they look like? Very interesting question. You know, there's a lot of different things that people may not realize about them, but we do have a decent picture of what they could look like. When I see them in 2 different forms sometimes. So when I first awoke to my gifts, I would see these giants of spirits around people just kind of hovering over them, and it became kind of overwhelming. So usually when I'm just walking around throughout my everyday life, I just kind of see these orbs of energy around them. Different colors, different brightness, different tones, things like that. When I'm doing readings, though, I get to see them in what I call kind of like their human form. So angels' wings. Yeah, they do kind of have wings. They're not as feathery and as bird-like as people have portrayed them, but they are kind of like energy. So if we can imagine our souls or our spirit being of energy, angels have like an extra offshoot of energy kind of coming off of their backs. So they have this blanket of energy that kind of comes around them. And they have arms, legs, a torso, a head, obviously. They look a lot like us as far as a body goes, but they are very large. So I have not seen an angel that is under 8 feet tall yet. And I've seen ones as tall as about, and I'm guesstimating because I don't bust out a ruler, but, you know, about...
Excuse me. Can you pause? I'm going to get this yardstick out really quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hold on. I want accuracy here. Yeah, no, and then I have seen some that are upwards of 13 feet tall. So they are quite big. So that's why it was important for me to get it under control so I didn't see these giants hovering over people constantly, because it's kind of off-putting. Then when you go into facial features, again, they look a lot like us. And I tell people during readings, you have a male or a female angel, because they do look and act a lot like us in personality and in looks. So obviously they're pure energy, so they're not exactly a man or a woman. They will choose to look and act a certain way. So I say, yeah, there are male and female angels. And then as far as facial features, like I said, a lot like us, hair of different colors and of different lengths. So they're not all blonde and blue-eyed with long flowing hair or anything. Some are bald, some have really short hair, some have super long hair, obviously. So a lot like us, again, variety, because there's so many of them. And the one thing that I do like to talk about, which is kind of cool, I think it's cool anyway, is that we always talk about our third eye. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay, good. We talk about the third eye being in the center of our foreheads as a chakra point. Well, angels literally kind of have a third eye in where that chakra point is on us. So kind of right in the middle of the forehead. And they are, and the third eye for them is not exactly like our eyes, how they're horizontal and how their other two eyes are. The third eye is kind of a vertical eye shape in the middle of the forehead. And huge amounts of light and energy kind of emanates from it. And so that's what I kind of attribute to maybe people back in the day in biblical times or other times that have seen angels before. Maybe that's where they got the halo from, because it's a huge amount of light just coming out of that third eye, and it kind of emanates into like a circular aura around their heads a little bit. So maybe people saw that in the day and then they said, oh, they have a big ring around their heads. You know, I mean, so it's a theory.
It could be like distorted light or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to portray it somehow, and they wanted to paint it or, you know, describe it to people. So the halos came about because they don't have strictly a halo over their head. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing when I first saw an angel, was this eye just kind of opened up in the middle of their forehead and this light just shines out, you know. And so otherwise, that's kind of how I see them. Like I said, facial features are a lot like us, so it's a variety. So I couldn't describe that all angels definitely look just like this kind of a thing. But they all have those third eyes. They do have those energy wings, and they are ginormous.
Nice. Now, with all of you have various abilities. Do you also see, ghosts, earthbound spirits?
I do. Actually, that's where I first started out. I first started as an empath. So I know it's a big passion of mine to help people with empathy, because it was really jarring for me. But then as I tried to shut down the empathy, because I did try to shut it down, because like I said, I just wanted to be a doctor. I say that all the time, is that the empathy was so distracting. But as I tried to shut it down, it just kind of got stronger and stronger. And I eventually had to learn how to accept it. And as I accepted it, I saw my first couple of human spirits. It wasn't super clear at first, but I did see silhouettes, as some people may see in paranormal investigation shows, or they may see in their own homes, sometimes dark figures. But I didn't attribute that darkness to a negativity. It was just me not being able to see everything about that particular spirit. And so then as I developed it, going to various classes that were offered locally around here, I eventually learned how to clear it up a little bit, could see more facial features, and I couldn't hear them at first either. Whenever I would see them, and it became clearer when I was seeing them, I would hear this really loud, just ringing in my ear, kind of like a, whenever they open their mouths. And I'm just sitting there frustrated. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I can't hear you, And it was really, really frustrating, because, okay, I have these gifts, but then what am I doing with it? Do I have to make every spirit do sign language for me? Like I just can't hear it. And it really just took practice. And so after a little while, I started getting a few words here and there. And then when I first saw my own guardian angel, and I was able to hear him and see him, it kind of opened up even more. And then human spirits became less difficult. So yeah, I do see them often. Sometimes they'll come up during a reading. Like I said, a spirit guide might be part of the team, or someone will request and say, hey, can you find my mom, or something like that. And I will be able to connect with the human spirit. But then also like you mentioned earlier, I have a group called R.I.S.E Paranormal that I co-founded with my wife to help people with hauntings and activity in their homes and businesses. I will obviously see and hear spirit during those investigations. And while we do investigate with typical paranormal equipment, I also use my gifts as a medium. And then I have 2 other members of my team as well that have mediumship capabilities. To try to communicate with the spirit, empathize with them, try to figure out why it is that they're here. And so we kind of help them in that way and help the homeowners with that by combining those 2 strengths of evidence, paranormal investigation, finding out logical reasons why something may be occurring. Because we've gone on a lot of clearings and investigations now, and some of them weren't paranormal. Sometimes there is an explanation. And I really hold to that. As you said earlier, science and spirituality, I think you can put them together, but just because I'm a medium doesn't mean I lose all logic. There might be something going on in the home or with someone else in the family that may not be a spirit. It could be, water pipes, or it could be the heaters just overacting in this room, or, there could be noises coming from something else, or maybe it's not a spirit, maybe it's strange energy of somebody else that is part of the family that is causing issues between everyone. So using those gifts, I think it really helps to get a clear picture for the homeowners and business owners exactly what might be going on, and not right away say, oh, there's a negative spirit here, or there's a demon here. We want to make sure that we keep it real with that.
Well, speaking of like negativity or dark energy, which, I think we have a big problem with in the community with jumping to calling things negative or demonic before we understand enough about it. But at the same time, and I've never thought about someone with your abilities having to, like, anything that's not angelic. I mean, I can only imagine that something that's angelic, the energy and the power and the, the light, the presence that makes something angelic. When it's not, it must automatically kind of feel dark or feel, negative in comparison. Is that, I don't know how you determine that. That would be an interesting conundrum to be in.
It is. At first, it is interesting to try to separate, because as I talk to people about what might be in the home or what an angel might be telling people about something they've encountered, it's not always black and white. There isn't always just the definitely super light, high vibration energy of an angel, or the dark, negative, heavy energy of a demon, which I call fallen, because the way the angels describe it to me, and I don't try to push this on other people. If they want to call them demons, that's fine. But I call them the fallen because demons are essentially fallen angels. It is very different when you look at those 2 contrasts, but then you have stuff in the middle where there might be a spirit that I'll come across that is a human spirit, and they were alive and now they've tried to pass on, but they just can't get to the light. And they're sad, maybe lost, confused, the typical unfinished business. Sometimes maybe they have a message for somebody, or they just feel as though they didn't do enough, or they were taken before their time. So there's a lot of frustration there. And then you have ones that are angry and hateful and spiteful. And even then, they're not as heavy as a demon. So yeah, like you were saying, there is this light and this love and this strength and compassion. And it feels so amazing to connect with an angelic spirit or a spirit guide or someone that's in the light, because it fills you with energy and it's such a high vibration. But then when you connect with something lower, it's pretty different. There's this heaviness, there's a pull. It's almost as if I were to encounter a fallen, which I've encountered a couple, there's a gravity change almost. For the first one that I ever encountered, my legs were sore for the entire week because I didn't feel it pushing on my legs at the time, but I felt the gravity and I didn't even know I was going to get so sore. Even my wife said, wow, I feel really sore after that, because it was just so heavy. And it's such a huge contrast that it has become easier for me over time to be able to be, okay, yeah, there's a negative entity here. Even if they're not a fallen, they may just be a human spirit. You can tell this is not in the light right now. This is someone that's angry, confused, sad. And there's a definite difference to the feel and to even the pitch of the frequency that sometimes I will tune into when I'm trying to tune into the spirit.
It's interesting to hear this often lofty concept of energy, woo-woo concept of energy in such physical terms. Like you can tell that
Yeah.
something's been weighing down on you. I've never heard anybody describe that before.
Yeah, because I try to help people understand things as it is in reality. Like I have mentioned before in other podcasts that I do with my own group, I was in science basically my entire life. I started out wanting to become a chef, which is a side story, but I eventually decided that I was going to go into helping people in some way. So I was actually an EMT for a little while. I was a seasonal firefighter for a little bit. And then I decided I was going to go into physical therapy. I was going through classes for that. And then I met my wife and she said, hey, why don't you become a full-on doctor? So I said, okay. And I just kind of fell into optometry. So I like to describe things in a way that people might be able to relate to, instead of just saying, oh, you have this aura about you, or there's this energy that we just can't see. I want to be able to bring some physicality and some logic to it, because once you feel it, it's real. And I couldn't ignore it. And I don't want anyone else to ignore it if they feel they have a connection to it. There are a lot of people out there that don't believe in this stuff and they may scoff at it. And that's okay if that's their belief. But if you do come to me and say, hey, I've had an experience, I want to be able to help you connect with that as easily as I can. And using lofty terms that people have come up with over the years doesn't really help a lot of people learn and understand. So I try to describe it the best I can.
I tried to figure out whether I was going to ask this question or not and how I present it, because I've also had kind of, I don't want to necessarily say I've been skeptic about angels, but as someone who's been running away in his adulthood from the dogma of like organized religion, like it's so, I guess it's such a like a biblical religious thing to me. And now, I mean, as I've in the last 10 years learned about so many paranormal things and spiritual things, I'm more open to realizing that it's can be there, but not necessarily something that, is attached to my Southern Baptist brainwashing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
I don't know. How do you clarify to people, or do you clarify to people that it's not a religious thing?
I do. I don't like to shirk away from any kind of question that someone might have. I used to talk with people when I first came out as, like I say, coming out of the closet as a medium and as an angel medium, no less. And a lot of them said, try to avoid religion, try to avoid that topic because it can get dicey. And I'm always respectful of people's religions. I grew up as Jewish and Catholic, so I call myself a cashew, and I'm sure that's an old joke, but I relate to people having different kinds of religions, different kinds of beliefs. I've talked with atheists, I've talked with agnostics, I've talked with people of the Islamic faith, obviously of the Jewish faith. My wife grew up as a Southern Baptist, actually. She lived in North Carolina. And there's a lot of different religions out there. And angels themselves you can find in many of different religions. In fact, some of the interesting things that I find is that even in the older religions of Greek, Roman mythologies, Egyptian mythologies, my angels have told me that some of the things that they were seeing as multiple gods and goddesses were angels that they had encountered. And angels have different responsibilities as the god Ra or the god Apollo, they are in charge of the sun. Well, there are angels that do stuff like that. And so I don't want people to think that believing in angels is religious, because you can still have your religion. Angels encourage people that if religion gives you solace, if it gives you strength, it gives you a sense of camaraderie and it makes sense to you, then have your religion, But I see that you can be of that religion and still know that you have angels around you. It's a spiritual thing, but also it's a real thing. They're there, whether you're any kind of faith, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever anything is, you have angels regardless, and they're there. And so I try to help people understand that it's definitely not a religious thing. And you don't have to change your religion because you believe in a medium or that you believe in an angel. I like to think of myself as like I said, I grew up with both religions. I went towards Catholicism for a little while, and then I kind of fell out of the strict structure of religion itself. Just like you said, the dogma of structured religion. It can coincide. So I see myself as, I guess you could say, Christian, because I kind of believe in a lot of the things that some of the people have taught me over the years. And there's amazing stories and amazing messages in the Bible. And I think if we look at all religions, if we take little pieces of all of them and put them together, we'll get a better understanding and a better sense of what God, the higher power, whatever people want to call him, truly intended. So I don't knock religion, and I try to tell people, look, if you have that religion, I respect that. That's amazing. It gives you strength and empowerment. Your angel wants to give you that too. So just knowing that you have some backup there isn't a bad thing, right? So I try to clarify it in that way. And like I said, I've had atheists come up to me and they say, hey, I'm atheist. And I'm like, cool, that's fine. Good for you. What do you want me to do? And they said, well, what do you think of that? I said, well, I think I told you, that's fine. But you still have an angel there. You have angels there. I see them, and they're there with you, and they support you, because just because you may not believe that they're there doesn't mean that they're not. We know and believe in things that we can't see all the time. People, like I said, spirituality and science, there's dark matter out there that we supposedly can't see. They can't get proof that it's definitely there, but supposedly it's in all things. It keeps our planet and all other planets in a certain alignment on our axis. There's this network of energy, of dark matter, dark energy, that combines everything. Well, what does that kind of sound like to you? Sounds a little bit like spirituality, energy, God even, something that we know that is there that we just can't prove. So that's why I try to combine things, because I want people to be able to relate to it from things they've learned, and then maybe some new things that they just don't know yet.
That's a really great answer. So I appreciate that. So I wanted to mention, you had a great 2-part conversation with our friend Karen A. Dahlman on her YouTube channel recently. And
she was great.
Oh yeah. I want to refer folks to those 2 videos when they're done here, or even pause and then come back if you really want to. I'll link to them in the show notes. But you 2 talked quite a bit about the early experiences that you had growing up and the abilities that you've gained that kind of led you here. And so if people are really interested in more of that backstory, that would be a great place to go for that. But I think you and I have kind of discussed there are some other nerdy things that we'd like to talk about. So people definitely need to go back, check Karen's stuff for some of the backstory, and then just come here for even more jumping into your work. So
definitely,
you give private readings. And so walk us through a little bit of how a private reading goes and how, your work with the angels goes into that.
Of course. So whenever I do a reading with people, I always tell them like the little spiel in the beginning. Like I said, there's a team behind everybody. I haven't seen less than 3 or more than 5 of guardian angels and spirit guides. And again, I explain it as I did earlier of the difference between the 2. And whenever I do a reading, I connect with the person's energy itself. So we all have auras around us. We, obviously from our own souls. And the way I do it is I kind of connect with the frequency of the ringing that I get in my ears sometimes. I mentioned it actually because I just recently contributed to another podcast that you were doing where people are sending in information about how to connect with spirit on a daily basis. And in it, I talk about the ringing in the ears, because that's kind of the thing. Like I said earlier, when I was trying to hear spirit, all I heard was the woo. And I'm like, wow, this is insane. This is crazy. And this is frustrating. But now as I came to see my own angel, I realized that if I can kind of control that pitch and that frequency, I can connect with the energy of the person, which is then connected with the guardian angel. Because we all have, like I said, a team, but we have a main guardian angel. This is the one that's been with us throughout past lifetimes. This is the one that has been with us throughout this lifetime. And they're only our angel. Like I tell people, if you want to pray or talk to Archangel Michael or Gabriel or someone like that. They're the big angels up there. They're big archangel seraphim, and they help out a lot of people in a lot of different ways, kind of throwing down stuff whenever they are asked to. But talk to your own angel. We all have one, and their energy is connected with ours. So that's how I can communicate with other people's angels, is I connect with them, and then I then connect with their energy. I get a name. So angels' names are very interesting. They can have a lot of different roots to them, because I say that an angel language is kind of like the root language of where a lot of our own languages have sprouted from. So sometimes they're long tongue twisters, and they can be very interesting to write down for people, and they're all unique. But then in the interest of ease, they give me a nickname. So they'll say some big long name, and then they'll be like, "Oh, just call me Mark," or yeah, it's like, it's really funny. And the people love it because maybe they can't pronounce it, or maybe it's way too long and they feel like they'll forget. Even though I give them a paper with the name on it, they'll still maybe lose it, or they'll just forget. So, okay, I remember now, it's Mark. And the angels are very, very secure entities. They don't really care if you call them Angel or Mark or Martian Celephon or something like that. They are cool with whatever you want to call them, as long as you talk to them. After that, I do male or female, like I said earlier, because I think it helps people to be able to paint a picture in their head of what I'm talking to, or maybe they have felt their angel and they're like, I think I saw him in a dream and it was a male angel. And then I end up telling them, yeah, boom, your angel is male. And they're like, oh my God, I totally knew, And so it was cool for them. It's cool for them to kind of put that together, and it's easier for them to relate. And after that, I go into what are called core aura colors. So a lot of people are familiar with aura. What most people see, my angels told me when I first started, was they see what they call superficial auras, which are the ones that we wear on the outside of us. You're walking down the street or walking in a mall and someone stops you and goes, "You have a very happy aura today." Yeah, that's the aura color that most people are familiar with. And that's the one that is often correlated with emotion, which is fine, because sometimes we may be wearing energy on the outside of us. Maybe we are happy or sad, and someone can kind of tell that, and they relate colors to it. So a yellow might be happy, or a blue might be sad, or purple might mean you're in love or something, one of those things. What the core auras are a little bit of who we are as a person. So the angels throw out the main aura, which they are connected to with you. So if I see a purple aura, for example, purple as a core aura is a warrior aura. So someone who fights for others that cannot fight for themselves. So often people with this aura color might become counselors, teachers, social workers, firefighters, a variety of different things where they're in a particular way. They just can't help but to try to help people overcome issues or obstacles. And so I see this purple aura on the angel and the person, because that is their main aura color. And then they throw out a couple of other ones. And these core auras can be anything from strengths and weaknesses to affinities for things, to personality traits, to how we use our gifts. Because I firmly believe that most of us, if not all, have some sort of intuitive gifts or some sort of spiritual gifts that maybe we just haven't tapped into yet. Like I said, I started out with not thinking anything. I watched Ghost Hunters when I was an undergrad, and that was the extent of most of my spiritual encounters, besides the little things that happened when I was a kid. I wasn't in spirituality at all. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of blows up, and seeing human spirit, I'm an empath, I'm seeing angelic spirits, I'm going on clearings, there's all these things, I'm doing readings. It just kind of went crazy. It's only been 3.5 years now, maybe, or a little more since it happened. So it's been interesting. And so I tell people, even if you don't know that you may or may not have something, your angel's here to let you know, yeah, you do have this particular gift, and they want to bring it out in the reading to help you know, understand, and use it to your advantage. So I always tell people as well that angelic readings are usually really big on guidance and empowerment. So if you have problems that are going on in your life, they want to help you get over those hurdles. If you're feeling like you're lost, or you have a lack of self-esteem or something like that, then they'll usually throw in little empowerment things to help you realize that some of the things that you're feeling, some of the things that you're seeing or experiencing, that they're real, and that it helps you to kind of get a better handle on who you really are as a person, as a soul, kind of a thing.
What an exciting journey you're on.
Yeah, it's been kind of nuts. Like I said, when I first started, I wanted to turn it off. And obviously, that's not what my guardian angels had in mind. And so, as I tried to turn it off, it just got stronger and stronger, and it just kind of turned into this. So now I try to do the doctor thing, but then I'm also getting booked with a lot of this other stuff. So it's been very interesting, to say the least. Yes.
Well, I wanted to mention when I threw in the Facebook, our Big Seance Parlor group on Facebook, I mentioned that we were getting ready to connect today. And Jennifer, and you may have seen it, Jennifer said, I had an angel reading from him recently. It was so informative and helpful. I took over 4 pages of notes during our 1 hour session. A friend had a reading after I told her about mine, and she thought it was very worthwhile. I highly recommend him. So that's cool, Jennifer.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I didn't get a chance to see that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I remember Jennifer, and yeah, she did refer someone. It was after the videos actually from Karen, and they live a little farther away. I think they're on the East Coast, and so I'm on the West Coast. So yeah, that was amazing to be able to give those readings. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jennifer, if you're listening.
I'll be right back with the rest of our conversation after this quick break.
You're listening to the Big Seance Podcast with Patrick Keller. Be sure to check out BigSeance.com for more discussion.
This episode of the Big Seance Podcast has been sponsored by Nuwati Herbals, a family-owned business operated in the St. Louis, Missouri area since 2002. The Cherokee people have a word for universal energy. That word is Nuwati. Rod Jackson is the founder of Nuwati and has personally developed their products from recipes influenced by his Cherokee ancestors. The Nuwati line consists of natural herbal products designed to actually do something. They promote healing, healthy skin, relaxation, and energy. They produce 4 lead product lines: herbal teas, herbal bath salts and scrubs, herbal bath bags, and herbal balms and body oils. They also have soaps, natural insect repellent, and a line of pet products. Nuwati has been featured at numerous red carpet events at the Grammy Awards, the Teen Choice Awards, the Oscars, the Emmys, and the Screen Actors Guild Annual Health Fair. Visit NuwatiHerbals.com and use code BIGSEANCE, all one word, to receive 15% off your Nuwati Herbals order as a thank you. Again, that's NuwatiHerbals.com. And Nuwati is Nuwati.
Thanks for joining us for the Big Seance Podcast. We'd better get back to the table while there's still some candlelight left.
So tell us about R.I.S.E Paranormal.
Okay, yeah, I would love to. R.I.S.E Paranormal. R.I.S.E stands for Rise and Inspire Soul Empowerment. My wife came up with that name because she's really great at she's way more creative than I am. So she thinks of all these great things. And it came about because we love that people are out there doing investigations and trying to find evidence of spirit activity, of hauntings and things like that. And that is truly amazing. But one of the things that I always noticed about some of the shows, and there may be other groups out there that do some of this kind of thing across the country. I don't know everybody. But I noticed that a lot of the shows, they would investigate, they would tell people the evidence that they caught, and then they would say, yeah, you have a spirit here, this is what's going on, goodbye. And they'd be like, and then I think, okay, so what's going on with the spirit then? Like, not only do the homeowners know they have a spirit, but now they definitely know, and they might be even a little bit more afraid, or they might be a little bit more confused on what to do next. And I don't pretend to know what happens behind the scenes. Maybe some of those shows give people recommendations for others to be able to help them with a spiritual issue, but we don't hear about that, or we didn't anyway. So as a medium, we would go to different places and I would feel some of the spiritual energy that was around there. And so we started doing R.I.S.E because we want to help people not only just to know that they're not crazy and that there is a ghost here, a spirit, but also to help them with the issue. So yes, sometimes we'll be able to find some decent evidence to show them. Yes, sometimes we'll be able to find an EVP or have some sort of video evidence or show them on the K2 that there's activity. But we'll also be able to connect with that spirit. One of the things that I firmly believe in is that none of us have the key to heaven, I guess you could say. So there isn't one medium out there that is the only one that can then say, here, I am taking you, spirit, and I am putting you into heaven now and passing you on. How we do it is we talk and empathize with the spirit. We say, hey, we understand what you're going through. We hear their stories. It'll pretty common that I'll just kind of start crying sometimes when I'm doing it because I feel their emotion. Like I said, I start out as an empath and I don't shut that down. I use that to my advantage. So I take in some of that negative energy that they have, the sadness, the anger. We talk with them and I transmute that within my body and I change that as a positive energy. And because it's their own energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes forms. So I change that form and it goes right back to them. And so all I say that we do is we help them. We help their energy rise to a vibration to the point where they can now, almost like a resonance, to where maybe now they can see the light. And as a guardian angel medium, I can now see the spirit's guardian angels. Angels don't leave us ever. Just because there's a spirit that may have committed murder and now they're stuck earthbound in a home or something like that. The angel is still around. The spirit just can't see them because they're so low. They're so angry or sad or confused. And so by raising their spirit, raising their energy, the resonance of them, they can maybe now see their angel. And they kind of go through a process of healing as we do it. But it's not me that's making them better. I'm not controlling them. I'm giving them the opportunity to do it themselves. So they then raise their vibrations so to the point where they can rise, I say, to the light. And it kind of goes along with rise, And so that's why we called it that, rise and inspire soul empowerment. We're trying to inspire the soul to be able to become empowered themselves in order to move on. And we have a pretty good track record so far. The ones that we go to, people call us in to help us out, personal, homes, businesses. We've done a couple of places that are locally famous and stuff like that as well. They say, yeah, activity has dropped off. There's nothing else going on here. Ever since you came, things are good. And that makes me feel really good. But at the same time, what makes me feel really good is knowing that now the homeowners aren't scared anymore. It's been helped. They knew that they had something. It's been confirmed that they have something, but now that something isn't around anymore. And so they don't have to worry about it. And the soul can now move on. They can move up to spirit world, heaven, whatever people want to call it. And they can maybe even come back and have another life. They're not stuck anymore, because it's so sad to watch a show where, yeah, we know that this guy is trapped here and he's angry and sad, and you hear an EVP of him, and then they're like, well, cool. See you later. Bye, guy. Bye, Jim, whoever they may have gotten on the spirit box or something. Well, he's still there. And it's nice that you knew he was there, but just connecting with them doesn't help them move on all the time. You need more. And so that's what we wanted to provide, is the more. And we don't charge for these things. If someone has a haunting, especially obviously locally, since it's tough for us to do a lot of traveling, but if someone has a haunting, we'll go. We'll make time, no matter how long it takes. We set aside that day and we go. Whether it's just me and my wife, or me and my wife and the other two people in the group, or sometimes it's been just me because my wife, has other things she's doing. Someone will respond, and we will be there and we will help them, because it's a passion of mine to help not just people who are living, but those that are stuck or have passed on as well.
Interesting. Let's say a spirit feels that they are earthbound, which is always kind of I've never really quite liked the term earthbound. I mean, I think it's good to help describe, but if a spirit feels like they're earthbound, what's preventing that spirit's guardian angel from helping them?
That's a good question. Again, I also want to agree. I don't often use the term earthbound. They're not really stuck to the earth. They're around because they can't seem to find a way to move on. So yeah, I agree. I just, like you said, good to be able to describe.
I mean, I use it at the same time I use the term all the time. So
yeah, exactly. It's because it's something that's familiar to people.
Yes.
So they get it. So what prevents an angel from trying to help? one of the things that people ask me that a lot, as far as why doesn't my angel interfere in my life as more? Why don't they stop me from doing this or stop me from doing that or help me with this more? And the long and short of it is that they do try, but they can't live our lives for us. We have perfect free will, they call it, where we can believe in them or not. We can choose to do this or not. We can believe in God or not, and he still loves us and cares about us. So when a spirit is stuck and they haven't been able to figure out how to move on into the light, the angel is there trying to help them still, trying to show themselves to them. But this is part of their life lesson. This is part of their journey. Even after they passed, even though they're not in a body anymore, they have a chance to be able to pull themselves out of it. And it may seem callous of them, but they do try, and they do try to say, hey, we're here. They call to them sometimes. But if someone's energy is so low because they're so engulfed in revenge or anger or frustration, or even just so sad that it's so low and guttural that they can't hear them, just like we kind of can't hear our, unless you're an angel medium, we can't always hear our angels now. They're around trying to communicate with us. And I talk about how they communicate with us a lot as well, but we don't always hear them. And so in spirit, although we are not bound by a body anymore, we sometimes, if we're low enough and we're stuck in this state, we can't hear something that's on such a high vibration of love. So it's tough for them, even though they try. And that's why my angels told me not just to do readings, but you have to go out and help more, because there are spirits out there that need it. And so I was like, fine, great. I'll go out there and do what I can. And that's kind of where it came about. And then all it took was just a little bit of empathy, a little bit of mediumship to be able to hear what their problem is, what their issue is. And then, they do start to see, and they start to hear their angel, and then they know that they're there. And a lot of the time that's enough. And then all of a sudden they grab hold of their hand and they just kind of move on. And it's really amazing. It's completely different experience than anything I had ever felt before, to know that they found their own strength again and they were able to see their angel and move on. So I guess to summarize it, they try, but it's part of our life's experience to kind of pull ourselves out of these issues and to learn. And that's part of their learning, is to be able to find that strength themselves and to not have the angel just say, oh, you're sad and angry. Well, here I am. And then just pull them out. Then what did they really learn or gain out of all of that? Just like if we're going through life, I have an issue. Like right now, even my angels don't tell me the lottery numbers, So, if I come across a problem where I get depressed or sad, they'll throw me down hints and try to help guide me out of it. But I have to pull myself out of that. Otherwise, they're living the life for us, and life continues even after death. So
being in, I'm sure you go into quite a few of the typical popular haunted locations and some of these dark spaces. Are you more, with your connection with angels, are you more protected than others? And like when you come home, do you have to worry about the same hitchhikers, or are you free from that hindrance?
Well, it's a tricky question, because I feel as though, just as I am now, I have never had a hitchhiker. I've never had anyone try to attach to me. Ever since I connected with my angels, I felt that empowerment and strength. And so I tell everybody that I'm not special in that regard. I firmly believe and have seen that if you know that your angels are there, if you believe in your own strength and energy, and wholeheartedly know that you are protected, not just with their energy and their help, but with your own, then you're not going to be affected by negative entities. I see it as, kind of like a scale. Positive energy is up a little bit higher than a negative energy. And if they're trying to reach you and you keep yourself strong and positive and confident that they're not going to affect you, then they don't. Now, when I go in for a clearing or go into, like I said, a popular haunted location, I let myself be open to being affected while I'm there. But I know to basically cut that off as soon as I'm done. If I'm able to help a spirit there, that's great. I don't just go into a place that's popular for being haunted and just start crossing over spirits. Because, sometimes people want the place to be haunted. And although I don't agree with it, I don't want people to lose out on their means of making money or something. I don't love that some places want to keep the spirits there because obviously, like I said, I feel for the spirits, but I just don't go in there, but I will feel it. And if there is something there that I do need to help, I will. I think anyone can be protected, to answer your question. And you don't have to know your angel's name either. If you firmly believe that they are there, if you know your own strengths and know that you're on a higher wavelength, a higher resonance than a negative energy would be, then you're totally protected too. All the times when you see people saying that I got scratched or I brought things home, I firmly believe that some of that is obviously television. So sometimes people may exaggerate little things here and there, but I don't doubt that people have had those experiences. But I always tell them, if you know your strengths, if you know your angels are there protecting you, if you know that you can handle all of these things and that they won't affect you, then they won't, because it's all a matter of intent. It's a matter of, I'm going to go in there and help, or I'm not going to be affected by this negative energy anymore. And it may take a little time for your actual soul, your heart, whatever you want to call it, to firmly believe it. But I go in with utmost confidence. And yeah, maybe I cheat a little bit because I know my angels are right there and because I've been doing it for a while. But anyone can really get to that point. So I don't think I'm more protected because I'm an angel medium. I think that I can handle it a little bit better because I'm an angel medium. And that's why I want to do it professionally, to try to help people with their issues. Just because I can do the whole transmuting of energy thing and that I'm pretty confident in the whole interaction between me and a negative entity because I've encountered so many. Just like some other investigators or people who claim that they're exorcists or something might be slightly more confident, I guess. But anyone can get to the point where they don't have to feel like there's attachments. Attachments are actually super rare, and even more rare are possessions, like in reality. And that's what I've seen doing all these investigations that we've had. And that's what I've heard from my angels as well. Like I said, they happen, but they only happen to those that don't understand that they can control it.
You just mentioned transmuting energy. And this is one thing that I highlighted in your bio because I thought that was interesting.
Yes.
So what's this in your bio? You say natural ability, or you have a natural ability to transmute negative energy to positive energy. Tell us more about that.
Okay, sure. Kind of a complicated concept, but again, I love to talk about it because it's all like I said earlier, energy cannot be created or destroyed, just change forms. And obviously that's also a science-based theory as well. It's basically taking in any kind of negative energy, whether it be from a human spirit that might be in a home, or whether I'm doing Reiki actually. I will take in any kind of negative energy and I will change the vibration of it. So when I do readings, there's a certain aura color. Like I have this aura color where people are really good at being able to manage energy. So if you feel like, I know that you are a teacher, right? And so you're around a lot of people all the time. And, especially by the end of the day, you could feel drained and tired, like people are just sucking the life out of you kind of a thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so I talk about how people can replenish that, but there's a particular aura that is good at knowing, okay, I've given this much away. I'm not going to do any more of it. I took mine a step further to the point where I can keep my energy on a positive vibration and then take in anything negative, and I kind of change it in my body or in my soul or in my aura, what have you. And I change the resonance of it, the vibration, into a positive healing energy for a spirit or for someone that's receiving Reiki, because I don't want to take any energy away from anyone. Yeah, it can get replenished, but if it's your own energy, why not just change it and bring it up a little higher? It's best for healing, and it's best for a soul to be able to feel a little bit happier, a little bit more positive if it's their own familiar energy. That way it eliminates any kind of weirdness that they may feel with new energy coming in. So how it actually happens, it's really difficult to explain because I can't really see it happening inside of me. I just feel it. And it actually goes into an empath class that I had a little while ago, because empaths can kind of do the same thing a little bit. There's steps that my angels gave me to be able to handle it, because as people may see in the video, if they decide to go watch it, I started off as an empath, It was frustrating. It was debilitating at some times. And then as I saw my angels and human spirits, and my empathy grew stronger, my angels then had to show me how to control it. And so part of it is letting yourself actually feel the emotion. So again, this goes into letting myself feel the energy or the emotion of somebody during Reiki or a spirit during a clearing. And then you kind of take some breaths and you breathe through that change. You have the intent in mind. You empathize. If it's a spirit, you say, I feel you. I've been this angry before. I can't relate to everything you've gone through because that's your story, but I felt this before as you have. And I feel for you. Let me help. And people like to throw around the moniker or the phrase love and light constantly. Love and light, love and light, love and light. It sounds really nice, but what is it really? And when I try to break it down for people is that love and light is really just support, letting you know that people are there to help you. And spirits don't really have that. And there's a lot of people out there that will get Reiki that don't have that either. And it's sad. And so knowing that you're changing that negative energy that you've taken into a support energy. Here's some of my strength. Here's some of my love. Here's some of my help that I can just give you. That changes everything. And it comes out as a light, positive energy to give back to the spirit, give back to the person. And I have an affinity for it just because it just happened so naturally when I first started doing it. I don't think that I know that there are other people out there that can do it. I just know that because of my gift as an angel medium, I'm able to see the energies a little bit easier, I feel, and I knew about it right away. But I firmly believe that there are other people out there with a similar aura that can do that as well. There are some people you just talk to and you feel better, even if you're just talking and they're just listening. At the same time, they're kind of doing some of the same stuff. And some of you out there who are listening might have had those experiences, even yourself. Someone just comes, talks to you. A stranger comes and talks to you. I was sitting in a local restaurant, ordered food to go, and randomly this guy who I assumed to be homeless because of how he looked, unfortunately, and it's terrible that he was in that state, came up and sat in the booth right with me and just started talking to me randomly about his problems. Didn't ask me for money, just started talking. And while I was waiting for my burrito, I just kind of talked to him a little bit, and I connected with his angel and I dropped a little advice on him. And I went and I grabbed my food. My name was called and I walked out and I saw him staring at me as I was walking out. Some people may have had those experiences before where people just kind of just come up and talk to you and tell you their life story for no real reason. And that's a help. That's knowing that you can then change that, and knowing that they're talking to you and they're confiding in you. You have that strength to then give back positive support for them. So I guess that's kind of like how the energy transmutation works. It's really strong in me because I know about it and I know how to manage it and how to use it to my advantage to be able to help spirits. We're all a little different in our gifts. So not every single person might be able to do it, but I feel honored to be able to do something like that. And I take it seriously. Like that stuff is no joke for me. People have asked me, can you teach me that? And I said, well, unless you really have an affinity for something like that, I just can't really teach you how to do it. But there are people out there that can also do it, and they do have an affinity.
Amy has a question.
Sure.
From the Big Seance Parlor on Facebook that she submitted today. And she says, as a medium and social worker, I find myself thinking a lot about ethics in this work.
Mm-hmm.
While mediumship is important work, I feel it's easy for a vulnerable sitter to give up their power or a reader to take advantage of another's vulnerability. The title or word angel can bring its own connotations, which we kind of discussed earlier, which may make another vulnerable to the authority it suggests. As an angel medium, what ethics do you adhere to protect others and remain self-reflective in your work?
That's a really good question, actually. Like I said, I take all this stuff very seriously. So when I'm doing a reading for people, the first thing I always tell them is that obviously I'm getting messages from your angels. These are all things for guidance, and they're suggestions for people to do if they have a specific question about how to help themselves. You can take the advice or you cannot take the advice. We have free will. So I keep it that way because I don't want people to come in and for me to say, your guardian angel says, do this, 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 and this, and you better do it or else something bad is going to happen. I don't do readings like that. That's ridiculous. And I keep it to the point where people can make those decisions for themselves. The angels even tell me, we would like it if you did this, or it would be good if you kind of went down that path. It's up to you, though. If it doesn't resonate with you, then don't do it. I tell people that if what I said today from your angel does not resonate with you and you don't see a benefit from taking this advice, that's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings and you're not going to hurt your angel's feelings. They just wanted to be able to come down and give you their guidance and their support. Yeah, some people might hear angel and think, oh, I better do exactly what my angel says because they know stuff. But then they also don't give you specific things like you need to go quit your job and go do this and this and this. They don't give you step-by-step things. I just had a reading with someone the other day and the angel said, you're going to have an opportunity to be able to switch positions coming up. It might even be a really good change if you choose to go with that. They wanted to let them know that this was out there and to be ready for it. Not that, oh, this is coming, you're going to quit your job and you're going to go do this. That's crazy. They don't want to control us. They're not an authority. They don't even see themselves as an authority. They see themselves as our friends, very, very close friends. And so it's just like a best friend giving you advice on something. They may have a little bit more higher knowledge. And so they may know some things that may be happening in the future. Like, for example, that person did get the opportunity way faster than I thought it was going to come about. They messaged me and said, hey, I have a job interview with another place, so I'm going to check it out. These things kind of come up. And so as far as the ethics go, yeah, I also take it seriously and I can see how people can be vulnerable. I don't charge nearly as much as some other mediums do for readings because I want everybody to be available for that. And I don't want any one person who wants an angel reading to have to come up with like $300 for a 1 hour reading. I make it affordable for people. And sometimes I even do free readings for people that may be having issues and they just can't handle the money at that point. And like I said, we don't charge for our clearings. We go out there because people are having problems. I don't want to gouge people for money.
I will say your readings prices are very reasonable.
Oh, thank you. I try to make it that way, like I was saying. So ethics wise, yeah, I get, and that's an awesome question. And I tell people that I'm just giving them that advice, that information. People can then do with it what they will. If at the very least, I just connect you with your angel and you know that they're there and that they are there supporting you always and that you're not alone and that maybe you talk to them every now and then I've done my job. I want people to know about their guardian angels because they're kind of unsung heroes in all of this spirituality and all this mediumship. People don't often talk about them and they're always there trying to help. They send us information through a lot of different ways and I help people understand where that information might be coming from. So hopefully that answers most of the question. Yeah, things can get dicey. Sometimes there was a reading I had done that was kind of a personal nature and I was doing a husband and a wife and it concerned them. And one angel was saying one thing and the other angel was saying another. And I'm like, well, I'm getting kind of caught in the middle here. And this is maybe some
couples counseling.
Yeah, exactly. But, it was one of those things that I'm like, I don't feel like I should be the one to decide this. I say, this is what your angel is saying. And then when I saw the husband, this is what your angel is saying. This is the advice. And I gave the advice from both of them, and if it's something that I feel as though they need to make a decision on, I just give them the advice to be able to go forward with it and say, you know what, this is not something that your angel can decide for you. This is something that you need to understand and deal with on your own. This is part of your life's journey. So I try to steer clear of the really crazy personal things that might seem unethical for me to comment on. Because although I tell people, hey, I'm just the messenger, it's still them having to believe that is their angel, actually telling them these things. So yeah, I'm fully aware of the ethical stuff. And I want people to believe in their angels because they're there. And if that means that someone might take their advice as authority, that was their decision to do it. Just like if I went to a medium and the medium told me that I was going to be getting a bunch of money in the near future and that I was going to have a child soon and it was going to be a boy and all this stuff. And if some of that stuff doesn't come about, I don't hold the medium accountable. That was just what they got. So different, obviously, coming from an angel. So I understand her question. And that's why I try to tell people the angel gives them that opportunity to make their choices. They just give them more opportunities and choices to be able to go down the right path. They can ignore it or take it. So that's the way I try to deal with that.
You and I are sitting here having this conversation safely from our own homes.
Yes.
But also we're sitting here and the whole world is kind of on edge with this COVID-19 coronavirus. And
Yes.
I guess I should say that we're recording this on March 16th. It seems to have affected everyone at this point. My school has been shut down for several weeks. So
Yeah.
So many people are either working from home, and we have hourly service workers at home concerned and worried about providing for their families while the world is on hold and hunkering down for so long. Do you have, and I don't, you might not even be comfortable giving insights, but do you have any insights or wisdom for all of us from your connection?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can give you what I can. And the one thing that I knew from my angels when all this stuff started popping up was that this was going to occur. This was going to spread. It was going to get kind of crazy. And then, it is going to die down. And it is not going, and first of all, for all those people out there that may be thinking it, this is not Armageddon. This is not the apocalypse. The coronavirus is not going to wipe us out. It is terrible that people have passed on from it. It is terrible that people are sick with it right now, fighting through everything. And it is rough, like you said, for people that are working and they're trying to make ends meet. And then all of a sudden their establishment or whatever it might be might shut down or be getting less business. It is going to subside, and it's not going to last a lot as long as people think, as far as people being so scared of it. It has incited this panic, but I know for a fact that this is going to die down. And they are always hesitant to give timeframes for things, but I know that it's not, like I said, it's not going to last as long as people think. I'm not the kind of person to try to make huge future predictions as far as like, this is going to happen now and it's going to end now kind of a thing. It was crazy how it came about. It came out of nowhere almost, and it spread. And then it's kind of just going to go out by the same fashion. People are already working on vaccines for it. Obviously, it's not just going to mysteriously go away, but it is going to go away eventually. And also the panic and the fear is going to kind of subside a little bit. It's a version of the pneumonia virus. And the pneumonia itself is already dangerous and tough. And most people just don't know what the long-term side effects are going to be of this disease. So that's what the big scare is from healthcare workers is, well, we can develop a vaccine and we can try to help these people fight through it. But then what are the long-term effects of the entire thing? And that's why people are in quarantine. That's why they're trying to not get it to spread, because the right person gets it, they could be damaged for a while, or they could, unfortunately, like some have, passed on. So the only thing I can tell you is that my angel told me, yeah, be careful. Hand sanitizers, soap, and, washing your hands, being careful if you're around large groups, but just stay healthy, stay conscious, and just know that it is going to subside. So hopefully just knowing that it's going to subside and that we're going to be okay helps some people. But no, unfortunately I don't have, and I know you didn't ask, but I don't have a specific time as to when it's exactly going to be gone. It's just shorter than people think. So hopefully that helps a little.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you have any final thoughts today? And then also, before we part ways, give us any upcoming events you might want to plug, or, where people can find you and all that stuff.
Great. Yeah. Final thoughts. First of all, I want to say to you, I truly appreciate you letting me come on your show. I've heard a few of your podcasts. They've been great. And so I was really excited that you asked me to come on. So thank you very much for that. I love being able to come on and talk about the angels, talk about what we do as R.I.S.E Paranormal, but also as I do as an angel medium, because my big goal is that as R.I.S.E Paranormal, we want people to know we specialize in these darker cases. Our goal isn't to become famous and get on a TV show. Our goal is to be able to go to these places, whether it be someone's home or a place that is famously haunted, to be able to help any kind of dark energies that are there, because they are suffering. And so that's our big message, is that we want to help. We want to be out there as far as R.I.S.E Paranormal, and we will go and do anything that we can for anyone that's having issues. May be a spirit, may just be residual energy. At least we'll go there and help the person understand it. And if there's a spirit there, help it as well. As far as an angel medium goes, I want everyone to know that you have a guardian angel with you always. They communicate with us through what everyone calls intuition, that gut feeling that we get. Don't go down that alleyway. Don't take that class. Talk to that person. They're going to be a really good friend. We get those feelings in us before even a thought comes in. And we have to learn how to listen to those messages, to those feelings. Some angels will also touch us on the shoulder, or we'll see people talk to me all the time about repeating numbers, 1111, 444. They constantly see these numbers on a clock, or the number 28 is really big for them. There's visual angels out there that will give messages through numbers, through visual cues. There's auditory angels, like a song will come on the radio out of nowhere that means so much to you, giving you a message. They try to talk to you and communicate with you through the ringing in the ears. There's different ways our angels try to communicate with us, but the main point is that they are trying to send us those messages. We just have to learn how to listen to them and hear them. And then, like I said before, as far as the ethics goes, we then choose to act on those messages or not. We have that choice in us. We are responsible for our lives and our destiny, but our angels want to see us take the path of least resistance. So that's why they try to send us those messages. There was a person that I did a reading for, and the angel was telling me that, and I like to tell the story because it's a good example of how they try to help and how we can ignore it. So he was coming home late from a bar in San Diego, Gaslamp District, it's open real late. He's walking home and he starts going down this alleyway. And the angel says basically that they told him not to go down that alleyway. Gut feeling, be afraid. This is weird. Well, he chose to ignore that, whether it was because he had one too many or that he's just, whatever, this will make my walk a little shorter. So he says, he kept on going. The angel told me you kept going after he told you, right? And he's like, yeah, I was scared, but I kind of wanted to keep going. He said, okay, well, that was your first warning. So he starts going down the alleyway, and all of a sudden a dog jumps out from behind a trash can, kind of, not jumps, but, and just kind of barked at him and ran away. Well, that was another warning. Hey, stop going down this alleyway right now. And he's like, yeah, there was a dog. He came out. He kind of scared me a little bit. And then as quickly as he came, he kind of cringed and ran away. So I thought nothing of it. I was like, whatever, a dog, ha ha ha, and he kept on walking. And then he got mugged. And he says, why didn't my angel protect me? Well, they were trying. They were trying to tell you not to do this. They were trying to tell you not to do that. They gave you 2 warnings. 3, if you count the fact that you were hammered and that you were walking home. Maybe you should have taken a cab or something, but they were trying to show you, hey, this is happening. There's a warning here. That was their protection. We have to listen to those messages in order to benefit. And if we choose to ignore them, hey, we choose to ignore them. And if we miss an opportunity for growth, we miss it. But what's cool is that a lot of the times these opportunities will come around again. I missed a calling of mine, I think, a little while back, but now another opportunity is arising for me as well. And it was because I just wasn't listening. I just didn't take the hints. Our angels are always there trying to help us, guide us, but we have that free will to choose what we want to do. But if you come for a reading, I tell people, this is what they're telling you right now. This is your strength. This is what you're really great at. This is what you can do with your life in order to make it better, to make yourself feel even better about who you are as a person. This is what's going to come up. We know there's a hurdle here. Hey, this is how you can avoid that. They don't just say something as terrible as some people might be like, I've heard some mediums go up to somebody and say, oh, you're going to die in 3 years or something like that. An angel will say, hey, look, you're not doing so great. You have a health issue. Let's see how we can help that. They never just give you bad news. They say, but you can prevent something like this from happening if you do this. They want to give support. They're not doom and gloom. They're there to help guide you and give you the best life that you can. So final thought about angels is that they're all around us trying to help us, like the best friends we never had or never knew that we had. And so I just hope that if people do come for a reading or hear this podcast or anything else that I do in the future, that they at least just acknowledge and know, hey, we're not alone. Let's try to listen to those messages and see what we can come up with. So things coming up. I do have a couple of books I'm working on. Related to one of those books is a series of classes that I have now put out. Hopefully people will continue to buy tickets, since I know a lot of people are, like you mentioned earlier, very worried about the virus, but I have a few people that have bought, so it's coming up in April. And I'm working on trying to make it online as well, because maybe some people don't want to come to an in-person class. So let's do a Facebook Live or a Zoom conference thing where I do multiple people coming for the class online. And it's about intuition, which we mentioned earlier, as how our angels communicate with us, but also different kinds of intuition. The second class, it's a series. Second class is about the law of attraction. A lot of people know about the law of attraction and have heard about it, read about it in a couple of books like The Secret and things like that. But the angels have a different take on it and want them to know about what the law of attraction kind of is to them and how you can benefit from it. The last class is a combination, how intuition can support and help the law of attraction. So it's a series of classes that I have. Again, I try to make it affordable for people. And that class is going to go, those classes are going to go into a book that I've already started working on. But I want to get feedback from people on the class itself and the information and what they've kind of gotten out of the actual class itself. The other one I want to work on is obviously on guardian angels. It's a passion of mine. They're around and they try to help so much, and people just don't give them the time of day. And then we hear about books about people saying that Archangel Michael has a mansion up in heaven, and people will go to that mansion and they can see his huge house and that he's kind of a jock and things like that. And I say, well, no, Michael's not really like that. He's actually amazingly caring and kind, and he's strong, and angels don't have houses. So, it's just one of those things that I want people to know about angels and guardian angels from maybe a perspective that I've gotten from being an angel medium. As far as anything else coming up, I will be putting out other classes in the future, and hopefully we'll be doing a couple of other podcasts in the future as well. Things aren't fully set in stone yet, so I can't really say what's going on with that yet, but I hope to be more accessible to people. And so I'm going to try to do videos of my own and try to get myself out there a little bit more so that people can ask the questions. They can hear some of the things that the angels have taught me. So if people are listening to this and they are local, I have a couple of classes at local businesses around the area that you can find on my website. I have listed those on my website and my Facebook so that people can have access to those as well. And like we mentioned earlier, I do private readings. I'm also do Reiki, which I call Angel Reiki. So it's a little bit different than normal Reiki, but it is rooted in the Usui method, which is the original method of Reiki healing. So the angels just kind of gave me a little bit extra stuff. So I kind of do that along with my energy transmutation. And I also do group readings. So if people want group readings, they can schedule those. I've been getting a lot of those lately. So that's been kind of picking up a lot more, but people can schedule me for group readings, and people can do phone, Zoom, Skype. If you're out there, I always try to work around people's schedules. So if you're not in Southern California and want a reading, we can definitely do something like that on long distance. My website is angelwhisperermichael.com. Our groups is riseparanormal.com. I have a Facebook of Angel Medium Michael and Instagram of the same name. And then Rise also has Rise Paranormal on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So you can reach me there on any of those platforms, and I'll respond to you as quickly as I can for anything that you might have an issue with, or you want to ask a question, or you want to schedule something. I try to answer as much as I can. I just don't answer my phone. So if you see a phone number somewhere on my sites, text me or email is the best way to get a hold of me.
I don't answer my phone either.
Yeah, it's a lot. It got to be a lot of people, and I love talking to people, but at the same time, it's solicitors and random people calling me. We have to have boundaries. We all do. And so people would call me at like 9 o'clock at night, and you throw me a text at 9 o'clock, I might answer it because I don't have to answer the phone, but sometimes I'll just do them the next morning. So I try to put my hours on my Facebook page, but people still do it after hours. So texts are a lot more invasive than, a lot less invasive than a phone call. So I answer all those as much as I can.
Dr. Michael Terzi, you rock.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate this. You're awesome for letting me come on your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the following super paranerds who support the show at patreon.com/BigSeance. Susan Davey, Josiel Lorenzo, Jim Budd, Kim Robb, Sonia B, Natalie, Genesis, Bliss is my muse, Justin J. Justin, Anne Marie Sullivan, Paula Mitchell, and Amy Park Gedicke. My supporters at the Parlor guest level, who can be found at BigSeance.com/parlorguests, are Linda of ShimmeringMoons.com, Denise Sia of Mystic Moms Paranormal, Ann Rekovich of OzParatech.com, Norman and Linda Keller, Lena and John of Carbon Lilies, Christopher Kohler, Bruce Williams, Marion Hover Clairvoyant, Sharon B., Dina DeCastro of Dina DeCastro Astrology, Nettie, Glenna Becker, James Wilfong, Diana Rax, Peggy Hagan, David Rubenstein, Janet Shaw Binns, and Dave Curry. That sound you just heard was the Above and Beyond There's Not Even a Category for Your Level of Support fireworks display, because I have 3 awesome listeners who support the show at the $10 level: Steve Skinner, Kevin Gilbert, and AJ Meredith. So thank you, Steve, Kevin, and AJ, and thank you, Paranerds.
For show notes, including links to anything we may have mentioned in this episode, visit BigSeance.com. You can find and subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and just about anywhere podcasts are found. Do you have any comments or feedback? Go to BigSeance.com/feedback to learn how to get your voice in a future show. Or you can call my feedback line, 7755-TELL-ME. That's 775-583-5563. Interested in learning how to promote and share the podcast? Go to BigSeance.com/share. Thank you so much for listening. Unfortunately, it's time to blow the candles out, but we'll see you and light them again next time.